Rightio. There's our little temperature in there. We're in our cold room, and this is our little cold room we have on the farm. And here we've got our lamb here in our cold room, and we're going to be doing a couple of cuts on it today. We're going to be taking off a roast, a couple of roasts off each side there. We're going to be making some loin chops, which come out from this section here around to the back flanks there, and we're going to be taking some chops off the side there, some cutlet chops, which will have a bit of the bone, and that'll be down the rib section here. We're going to be taking the shoulder off, and we've got some neck meat there as well. We're going to be doing some rib, and we'll show you how much meat we get off a single lamb. So basic butchery, we keep it really simple here. We use a hand saw. This is a specialized meat saw. You can pick them up online. You can buy them from butcher supplies stores, or talk to your local butcher. He'll be able to hook you up with one if you need one. A steel, just to keep your knives nice and sharp. We have a skinning knife, which we use in the cleaning process for the lamb. That one there with the pointy end is a boning knife. It's a little bit on the flexible side, but still rigid enough, so that's all ready to go. And that one there is a lamb knife, what they call a lamb knife, and it's shaped and designed for cutting up lambs. So that's all the equipment that we use here, and it's very simple. Now the sun's come out at the moment, and normally I would have a tent set up out here with fly wire walls and all that we do our butchery in. And I got the King's Fire stove is just there. We normally have that going, but the weather looks nice and clean there at the moment. But if I turn around to the other side of the shed, it has been bucketing down rain on and off all day. So I'm just here next to the cold room, and we've got an undercover area here where I normally park the tractor, which is just there. And I'll just set up a table. Now it's outside, it's nice and close to the cold room. We can keep everything nice and clean. Nothing's out of the fridge for too long. We just got to get it cut up and get the job done. So we're working with what we've got today. You can see there now we've cut the flanks off, which is these parts here. So they're the flanks off that section. Now we can roll those up and turn those into a roast. Underneath there's the two shoulders, one's boned out and one is just bone in, which we can put into the slow cooker. Now you can see we've made our incision straight down the middle there, down to this point here. So that's all cut, ready to go. Now I need to get the saw, and we want to figure out how long we want to have our bones on our cutlets, which our cutlets be this section here. We're going to cut straight down here. We're going to aim straight down here and try to make those as uniform as possible. And then these two sections here will be our ribs for the smoker. top shelf here, we've got two, look at that, ribs, 2 racks of ribs ready to go into the smoker. That's one of our favourite cuts of a lamb. So we'll get into the next part. You can see there we've got the neck, which there's heaps of good meat for stewing and all that on the neck of the lamb. This is going down the middle of the back into there, and you can see the ribs, which will be the rib on the bone. And if we look on the end here, there's our little cutlet chops, which we're going to cut out now. So what we're going to do here is we're going to find that spine, and we're going to cut down the point of the spine and down to the bone, down into there. Very, very simple cut. And we want our last chop to go to, which should be around about there. There we go. Into there, nice and simple. Nice and easy little cut down to there. Find that spine. It should have 2 wings that go out each side and one that sticks up. So you've got to cut down that and then out to the side a little bit. So I could feel that spine. You can see that just there, sticking up there, and I'll come down this side of it, down to the bone level. So till you can just feel the bones down into there, and give it a little bit of a roll with the knife. As you can, so get your knife in and roll it a little bit, and you'll feel it pop out from the bone a little bit in there, and that's nice and easy. You'll see that pop out and just sit there like that. Now I could take these off and just have those as a boneless chop as well, but we like to have the bone on, so we cut them off. So this is also how you get your rib roast. So we're going to cut down this side as well. So down that spine, and roll it, roll that off there, roll it around the bone down to the rib, getting as much meat as possible off the bone. We don't want to leave any on there. Beautiful. That's into there. Now we can give that a chop with the saw, and they'll pop off beautifully. Now that piece there, we could trim those up and leave a longer bit of bone on that, and that would be a crown roast. You could see that. You could roll that around and get your crown, or you could leave that as a rib roast as well and just cook that in the oven as it is. It'd be a beautiful, beautiful little rib roast. Or you can cut it up and make little lamb cutlets, which would be on the bone for each of them. So by slicing them down here, you can actually get a beautiful thick lamb cutlet like that. Look at that, absolutely beautiful. And beautiful piece of meat. And Dorper lamb is so red, so rich, and beautiful. So we do this. This is one of our favourite cuts, to have the chops like this. If you're doing lambs normally, you would if you're doing commercially, sorry, you would do it a completely different way. This is just the way we do it because we like some different cuts, and we find that it gets as much meat as we can off the carcass and gets the cuts that we want at the same time. So that's the reason that we do it this way. Got about 5 or 6 different ways we do them depending on what cuts we want at the time. So it's all about getting what you want, and that's the reason that we grow our own meat. So this is coming up into the shoulder there. There's a little bit of the shoulder blade I missed before, so we can cut that out there, and that's getting up into the thicker part. So I've gone up a little bit high on the shoulder, but it'll still come out. So we can take that one there off. There, that's a snack for later. And so there we go. We've got some beautiful little chops there, and it's all there ready to go. That's just off that one little section there of the lamb, and the other half of it will be the loin chops as well. So we get that again off the other side. Now here we are. This is the rump side of it, the back leg of the lamb, and what we've got in here is we've got our main roast. We've got our leg roast of lamb, so that's a big roast, as you can see. Also I've got this part of the spine. We flip that around. You can see I've cut down the middle of the spine there with the saw, and as you come up into this loin part here, you can actually see where the loin chops start off. So we'll cut those out and get into that next. Now I've got our loin chops cut off there and ready to go, and there's our leg, our roast ready to go there as well. Now I haven't cut this bone off here, I've just left the knuckle on. So what I'm going to do is we like a little cut in here as well. So I'll do the slice into there and cut that off flush. Now if you wanted the whole leg, you could do that very easily, but what we do here is I actually take this part off into there, and we make some lamb steaks out of that, and we cut those little lamb steaks off, and they are absolutely beautiful on the barbecue. And we just slice them into there, and they're just a beautiful little cut of meat that cooks up beautifully, and it's a little treat that we have for ourselves. We you can leave it on and then roast it and make 2 roasts out of that. That roast is big enough to feed a lot of people, so we'll might keep that as a big one for the whole family. But you can see there I've got 4 quite thick lamb steaks out of that, and they're beautiful, ready to go. And the other part that I'm going to do here is I'm going to take this leg and I'm going to cut this shank off to here as well. Now you can French all your shanks and all that, we don't, we just leave them as they are. So we're going to make that roast, say, around that big, and leave a fair bit on the shank. So just into there, like that. Now you can leave that shank with the leg, and get into that, and then get the old saw again. The saw is your best friend when doing this. And there we go. There's one feed of some lamb steaks, feed for the whole family. There's a big roast, huge roast. You could cut that in half, turn it into 2 smaller roasts, and a lamb shank. And so we'll have 4 shanks by the end of this, and we haven't even got into the chops yet. Now, I've left that bit of the pelvis on this as well, so it gives you something extra to grab onto while you're doing these cuts. You've got to figure out how thick you want your chops there as well. So I use the butt of the boning knife as a bit of a gauge there of how thick I want them. So that's about how thick I want my lamb chops. So I can make my single cut down there, cut down into there, and then I can grab my bone and roll it. Gives me plenty to grab onto, keep my fingers out of the way. A couple of little cuts down here, and look at that, 1 chop ready to go. Now we do the same again, measure, cut, and you see the chops just appear out of there, and they come up absolutely beautiful. So you see there, nice little lamb chop. And if you cut through the meat first, if you haven't got a bandsaw makes this so much quicker and easier. But we have a handsaw. You see there, beautiful, beautiful chops. The rain's coming in again now. And you can see how many more chops we're going to get there. Probably 2 more out of that by following that muscle up. Trying to get a grip on it, and that's why we leave that extra bit of bone there. Now this is just very, very basic home butchery stuff that you can do. We could go into some technical stuff, but this is just way easily accessible for anybody to be able to do, and it's nice and easy to be able to process. And we'll get 1 more out of that. You can feel the pelvis there, so cut around the pelvis, tuck in tight to it, cut into there, get as much of the meat off as we can, and that's ready to go. There we go. Some beautiful, beautiful lamb chops, loin chops. Just give them a little pat down, a bit of a clean up, and they're ready to go for the barbecue. Now we can trim this all up for a bit of extra meat. I wasn't joking when I said it kept raining today. We haven't had rain in so long, and then suddenly I thought it was a good idea to set up under here, and it looks like I made the right call. So like I said, there we go, lamb chops. We're just doing a little bit of trim on this one, and then we'll we'll get it into the fridge. So like I said, cold room's just there and it's all good to go. So we've got plenty in there, and here it comes. So there we go. There's our lamb all done up. We've got 2 roasts up here all done. We've got 2 racks of ribs that we've got to cut up and portion. We've got 4 lamb shanks there and some trim that we can make up for stews and that sort of stuff. Also got a small roast there which we can cut as a roast or as lamb steaks. We've got chops and some liver and offal there. We've also got some more chops. We've got cutlet chops, we've got loin chops, we've got neck pieces that we can use for the slow cooker. We've got flaps, we've got shoulders, we've got all of this in here as well. So and that down the bottom is the bones, that's the waist. So we've got the 2 bits of pelvis, the neck and the bit of spine, which we've got to trim up for some more meat off there, but we'd like to leave a bit on there for the dog as well. And that is 1 shoulder blade. If I bone out the other one, I'll end up with another shoulder blade, but that's the total waste, which we use for dog bones and or broth. You could use it for making stews or soup or anything if you wanted as well. You can make a really nice stock with that if you wanted to. But there you go. That's total lamb, and we're going to have roast lamb for dinner tonight, I think. So I might we might put that one there in and roast it up.